Okay, we're going to switch gears. This will be the first video on the part modeling series. We're going to kind of leave the sketch world and go into part modeling. So let's head into Fusion 360. We are going to kind of explore the entire extrusion experience. So first thing I'm going to do is always going to create a new component, and we'll just call this, for creative purposes, we'll call it part. I'm going to create a sketch. So notice kind of my orientation. I have Y going up, X, Z. So I want to create my sketch in this XZ plane. So I'm going to create sketch, grab this here. I'm just going to go ahead and do a rectangle, start with a center point, and let's just do it 6 inches by 3 inches. Hit OK. So I've got my sketch. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. So now I have all kinds of options around extrusion. We're going to kind of walk through some menu options that we haven't already. And so just follow along. When you're done, this will be the submission. So go ahead and make sure you're tracking. So let's say first thing I'm going to do is I just want to do my extrusion. Now, couple of things we've never quite explored is you do have some other options. There's a thin extrude. It extrudes a thin wall along the selected open or closed profile. This is probably not something that you have necessarily thought about doing, but it is an option. If you want to do a thin extrude, you can set that distance. So we're going to stick with, I think this is, what is this? This is thin extrude and this is just extrude. So I picked my profile. Now I can do a couple of other things. I can do a profile plane. I can do an offset, and the offset, let's see here, it says starts extrusion at specified offset distance from the profile plane. So you can either lift it up, you can do an offset that says, okay, somewhere above that I want to extrude. So for example, if I said I wanted to do a 1 inch offset, then it's going to have me extrude that 1 inch above. So I'm going to stick with profile plane. And then the other thing is if you have an object, so that is going to, we're not even going to cover it. Not going to be part of it. So we'll stay with profile plane. Now you can do a couple of things with your extent type. You can do a distance, you can do to an object, or you can do to an all. These are going to make a little more sense later, but right now we're just going to keep it at a distance. So let's go ahead and hit OK. Now I want a new body. Everything is good to go. Now, if I wanted to do some modification, so for example, let's say I wanted to do another extrusion, but I wanted to come off the bottom. If I wanted to do a couple of things, I'm just extruding it now. Let's say that I wanted to do it at a taper. So I can start playing with changing that degree, and then I can also change the distance. So what I'm going to do is just take that bottom face, and I want you to make a taper. You can do 25 degrees, you can do whatever you want to. At this point you have some options. So from an operation, we played with join. Join would just make it one overall component. You could do a cut, which wouldn't make sense at this point because we're not going into the material. But you could also do either a new body or a component. In our case, let's just say for this one, we want to make a join, and we're going to hit OK. So I can do an extrusion on an extrusion. I can also play with my taper angle. I can make it go out. I can make it go in. For this case, let's make this guy go in. But let's just say, what did I say, 20, 25 degrees. Let's say 20. Hit OK. So now I've got this one shape. Now let's say I want to do a couple of other things. So let's do a sketch. Let's do it on top here. And I'm just going to make two, let's say I'm going to make two things. I'll make a sort of a rectangle. Other thing I want to do is I kind of want to do, let's say, let's make a circle. So I got my finished sketches. I'm going to hit OK. Now, before we talked about some of the options you have with the extrusion. So if I have this guy here and I want to extrude it, got a couple of options. Let's say if I just wanted to, if I had a component hanging out there in the middle of nowhere and I just wanted to make a hole go through the whole thing, what I do is I just grab the arrow and just sling it down. Now, it's going to cut into open space, so it's going to leave that hole. But let's say you had this guy resting on the top of something else, and you're like, I really don't want it to go into this other component. You can do this option here. Instead of saying a distance, which we're measuring it, you can say all, and it extrudes it through all the visible bodies that you have. So that would limit it to, see here, to the end. So that would give you that ability there. So doing it to the all, that makes sense. The other thing that you can do is you can also change sides. So you can actually make it go 2 different directions. So in our case, we're saying, what did we say? We said all. Let's do a distance. If I did a distance and it's going both, then it would go up and down. So let's cancel that guy out and let's just start over. So I'm going to do extrude, hit that guy. I'm going to go all, and we're just going to go down. And then it doesn't matter where I go to. Let's see if it actually does what I want it to do. It should go all the way through, and it didn't. What am I doing here? That's weird. Well, all right. I'm just going to do my thing. All right. Take that. We're going to extrude it, and we'll make it all the way down like that. Hit OK. All right. So now, once I've done that, it goes ahead and says like, hey, you didn't need those sketches anymore, did you? So we're going to go ahead and bring those guys back up. So I have, well, let's drop that guy. So I want to play with this guy here. So I'm going to do something a little bit different with him. I am going to extrude him, but I'm going to extrude him instead of just saying one-sided. I'm going to go on 2 different sides. So I can go up here, and then I can also go down here. And see how I decided to say like, oh, you want to cut it. I don't. I actually want it to join. So at that point, hit OK. What I now have is I have a cylinder that's kind of going up through that part. So far, we've done our initial extrusion. We've done an additional extrusion that went down with a taper. We created a sketch on top with a rectangle and a circle. We did the rectangle all the way to the bottom, either using that all command or just dragging it through. Then we did it a 2-sided off the circle, one going up and one going down. Last bit. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I want to do one more extrusion, but I want to do the side here. So the side, when I come out, I want to change this. Instead of saying join, I want to make a new component. Hit OK. Give it a second. And so now what you'll see is, oh man, I messed up. Let's redo this because I can't. Let's redo that part. Let's redo this part. I wasn't clicked on to the upper level. So let's go to the upper level. I'm going to select this guy here. I'm going to go ahead and say extrude out. I'm going to extrude out here. Instead of saying join, I want to go ahead and say new component. And then I hit OK. And then what you'll see is now I have 2 different components and it's treating it like and such. So that's kind of the deliverable. Extrusion with the taper, sketch with 2, 1 hole, 1 with the profile going up, profile going down, and then the expansion out here as a new component. So I should be able to see, if you screen capture this part, I have 2 different components, and all that to say, that should cover all your basic extruding needs. So, all right, on to the next one.